Welcome to Breathe, Chapter 1, the Direct Pointing Exercise. Unlike the Talking to the Dead series, where we were unraveling and really allowing everything to be unlearned, the Breathe series is going to be introducing some exercises not to learn and not to unlearn, but for clarity. This is not new. This is not something being taught. This is your intrinsic, inherent, natural knowingness. And this direct pointing is simply to allow the listener to reacquaint themselves with that which they do in their unconscious state. We call it deep sleep. Nothing is being taught here, yet so much is being brought here. If you stay in sync with the series and you feel inner discomfort arising, that's the clearest indication that something is inviting you inward. We're going to become more naturally aligned to the feelings as we pointed to in Chapter 1. This exercise is going to help you understand how to know which feelings are inviting you in and which feelings are pulling you out. So take a moment and settle where you're sitting now. This doesn't have to be a strong meditative pose, but it does help if your back and spine areas can be erect. So if you are sitting, make sure that's the accomplishment. And if you are lying down, make sure that is the way. And as you get comfortable with your spine erect, I just want you to let your breath flow naturally at this point. And I want you to tune in and see if there's any thoughts following here. We now know what to do with those. We immediately just ask, to whom is this thought arising? What is this thought arising for? And just stay here with my voice and the I presence. Meaning, as soon as the I am arises, we know a thought is coming. We're becoming more aware that we're before the I am. The am is the step-off point in the Talking to the Dead series. As soon as the mind reaches that place of I am, it is an awareness that it's getting ready to step off to thought, back into the dream. Just be aware of this. And start to notice the feeling that arises when the awareness seems to be aware that that I am thought is coming. Perhaps it's an uncomfortable thought, like, I'm not where I'm supposed to be with this series. I am not getting this yet. I am not connecting with what Kelly is saying here. That's okay. Notice it. Nothing has changed where we left off with talking to the dead. The inquiry will still arise. The inquirer will still have questions. The thoughts may still drop. They may be more muted now, but they may not be. All of that is allowed to be what it is. The background noises that the mind is displeased with, the anxious feelings in the body when you want to be in bliss. Notice all of them. Let them all pass through. To whom is this thought arising? To whom is that emotion arising? To whom is this feeling arising? The way I describe this is the body starts to really feel a relaxation and a wholesomeness, an organic feeling that's known. You may have vibrational systems running through your spine. Some call that Kundalini arising. Some call that expansion of energy. But in Ayurveda, we refer to it as the inner experience. It does not matter what you call it. Call it nothing. The labels are gone where we are now. The psyche has been upgraded. The experiencer is more aware that it is not the experiencing. The expression of life is happening to no one. And whether that is known or simply something to be mindful of, don't attach to it yet. Just let the feeling of what arises be here now. Rest in that. I. Stay with the I. Now I want you to be very mindful as this calmness is filling through the body in this direct pointing of a feeling, a blissful feeling, a moment in time that seems to be etched as a memory. We're going to use this to our advantage. And I'll explain a little bit more about this, but stay with me. In the story of Kelly, initially, to get here, she would think of the first time she held her newborn son in her arms and looked into his eyes. She could find that memory and tap into the feeling of it. Holding him, looking into his eyes and feeling that connection of love. So I want you to think of an experience in your story of your avatar that holds a likeness to that type of a loving moment. Don't let the mind become obsessed with picking the perfect one. You'll get the flash of what it is, your first love, your first kiss, when you held someone and you just felt a heart-to-heart connection that was undefinable or explainable. For many, it's being out in the middle of nature somewhere where there's a connectedness that's unfathomable that words cannot point to. Whatever it is, take a moment and find it and allow it to be fully present here next to my voice. Now the thoughts may still come, and initially you may have to be very cognizant with your eyes closed, but I promise this will become the way of it, and you won't have to move through this direct pointing. Now, as the beautiful feeling, the blissful feeling has been brought to your awareness, to the forefront of what we used to refer to as the mind, find the feeling in the body associated to this. Meaning, where are you experiencing this blissful memory in the body? Where is that apparently arising? Is it in your heart? Is it at the core or the base of your spine where you're sitting? Is it in your tummy? Your throat? Your head? Is it a tightness in your shoulders? Or butterflies in your core? Find it. There's no right or wrong answer here. Now I want you to go with your awareness, not your mind, to that feeling and where you've just found it in the body. For the example here in the story of Kelly, I'll presume and resume to point to the feeling in the heart. If it is truly a blissful one, that's often where people will tell me they notice it. Yet, there's an opportunity to be aware that this exercise also allows you to deal with what we would, in the previous series, refer to as a feeling of discomfort. But as we've moved past duality here, there's no white wolf or dark wolf. There's no spiders or spider webs. There's no tigers lost with tiger thoughts. The mirages are now seen as mirages. We're not trying to dabble with them anymore. We're just aware they're arising. So as such, if you're having a feeling that's not blissful, the exercise we're pointing to here for the blissful will work the same. Back to the direct pointing in the story of Kelly. She identified in awareness a blissful thought that became a blissful feeling. We call it a memory. We're using it to our advantage. That memory allows awareness to notice where it's being felt in the body, which again is just energy. As the awareness is able to spend more time with that energy, it is expansion of awareness. Notice that. The mind is quiet. The feeling is expanding through the body. It starts at the heart, spreads through the chest, expands down and up the spine. You may get some buzzing sounds in your ears. Don't be alarmed by this. The vibrational being is upgrading. Some refer to this as DNA crystallization. The words don't matter. You do this in your unconscious state when you fall asleep each night. There may be a euphoric, floating experience. The five senses are no longer present. They're not needed. The expansion is not through sense. That's dualistic. You may notice the more you do this, time and space evaporates. There's no duality here, and it just expands. Sight as we know it is not sight. It's known. Sound as we knew it is not sound. You are it. It is known. Identification as something or someone, also not here. That is part of duality. I. Presence is known. You are it, but there is no you. Be with this. Be with this as often as you can throughout the day. And each time you find a feeling, doesn't matter what the feeling is, as you spend time with it, invite it back to the heart. Just as we used as an analogy recently, whatever is arising, if the feeling of it is a pure yes or a pure no, you know it's dualistic. If it's wanting to evoke, this is a yes, this is so amazing, oh my gosh, I'm finally here. Duality is arising. There's an attachment there. Be mindful. If the arising is frustration because none of this is making sense yet, notice it. These are not wrong or right. They are just part of the are, the isness. Go to the feeling of it. Find where you're feeling that, the one that thinks it's the feeler, and invite it to the heart. Notice the body relaxes again. Over and over, rinse, repeat. None of what seems to appear needs to be analyzed. It's just an energy movement. And if it were an article of rubbish, you would not analyze it one by one. You would just put it in the rubbish bin. And that's what the heart is in this instance. Every feeling attached to none. As soon as you're attached to it, you're back in the dream. Duality is present. No's are present. The energy will keep pointing you back. Breathe into it. The blissful feeling will arise. Pull everything to the heart with gratitude. Rinse, repeat. Rinse, repeat. Initially, you may only be able to do this for a few seconds at a time. Don't force it. Don't try to make this a becoming, an effort, something to obtain. When it organically allows itself to do what we're doing, be with that. And when it resists, be with that. This is about pure acceptance that there is nothing dualistic, and anything showing me that is pulling me back to the dream. Stay with this one, guys. This direct pointing and being more in feelings than thoughts allows the expansion to just get better. Much love. Until next time.